Garrett, I have something to tell you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw something cool over the weekend and I was like, I went down the rabbit hole. I literally was like, first, the thing that interests me the most was a short video on YouTube where this guy was wearing a cardboard hat that had some writing on it and he looked like he was from the South. And the reason why I say that is he was missing some teeth. And no offense, I grew up in the South, so I feel like I'm okay with saying that. Missing some teeth. He was smiling. He had a cardboard hat on that said like "Go somebody." And I was like, dude, that looks interesting. Talk about a good thumbnail. So I clicked on it, and this guy is basically talking about his wife competing in this contest. Have you ever heard of the contest Hands on a Hard Body?
Hands on a hard body?
Hands on a Hard Body.
No. Tell me more.
That's right. How sick is that name, first of all? Secondly, they said hands on a hard body. I was like, I got to look this up. Typed in hands on a hard body. The first person to talk about hands on a hard body was Quentin Tarantino. Another down the rabbit hole. I was just like, wow, what am I going down, right? I'm just like, what is going on? Hands on a Hard Body was a documentary about 24 contestants in Texas competing for a Nissan pickup truck and putting their hand on this hard body pickup truck. Okay. Quentin Tarantino said it was one of the greatest documentaries ever made.
Oh, I love documentaries.
I was foaming at the mouth. I literally was like, and then, so I started going down the rabbit hole, looking up videos on YouTube. You can watch the whole documentary on Apple TV for $10. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely doing this. This is Saturday morning. I'm like in my mode. I'm like, oh, I'm researching the crap out of this.
Clear the schedule. We're watching this.
Exactly. So legit, I was like, okay, well, I'm watching this documentary. Quentin Tarantino says the best documentary of all time. And so I start doing more research, and this guy, thankfully, had basically clipped out like some great clips of it. And it was like a 30-minute long like debrief of the movie. So I was like, oh, wow. So I watched this, I think it was either Sunday or Monday morning, and it basically told me all the good things and everything that happened. But essentially, dude, it was so cool because it was a time when you're just like, oh wow, like it's so fun to see those documentaries back in the day of like, oh, it was so just raw, just a guy with a camcorder coming up to people like face to face, and you're just like, this is really cool. And I wonder who wins, right? Break. Have you ever done anything like this? Have you ever done something like this?
No, I've never had to do an endurance competition of that sort. It reminds me of like, well, now I'm thinking like Mr. Beast has all these competitions now, and one of them is like keep your hands on the $1 million and you get the $1 million thing. So, there is nothing new under the sun. Not that I thought that you don't have to be original. Definitely you don't have to be original. I'm not saying that. Just more like, wow, I didn't realize that, this has probably been done before.
You read my mind. So I literally thought the exact same thing when I saw this, because I was like, oh, I've seen Mr. Beast do these hands on cars, planes, money, all these things. So I then went down that rabbit hole. I was like, oh, when did he start doing this? What's interesting, and so we'll get down that in a little bit, but those videos have 90 million views, 200 million views, hand on a Lamborghini, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the hands on the hard body thing was just so raw. And like Quentin Tarantino, it's just like, it really gets into almost character development during these things. Mm-hmm. And it's so you have to go, I'll send you the link to watch it, but it's insane how much character development, because the way they build it up is there's this one guy named Benny, and he won the previous one that they did.
So he's a returning champ.
And they let him do it again. And so before the whole thing starts, they're like, he shouldn't be able to do this. He won the last one. He should let us do this, blah, blah, blah. But we're not going to let him win this one.
We love a little controversy.
And then they're building it up too, because Benny's like, the only thing that's going to beat me is a Marine. Or the only thing that can beat me is a Marine, because that's the only type of like mental toughness that I think that could beat me. And lo and behold, like a Marine participates in the thing. So they're building it up. And the Marine actually bows out pretty early. Insane. Because you're thinking, oh, this is the guy that's going to beat him. This guy named JD ends up winning the whole thing. And it was just, you would have never thought this guy. He was just very nonchalant. He was smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee during the thing.
How do bathroom breaks work?
Great question. So they're actually built into the contest. So every like 4 hours, you get like a 5 to 10 minute bathroom break. Or you can even sit down. Like, it was weird because I was like, I was thinking like your hand had to be on there the whole time. But these people are there for 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours. So it's like, you have to, like, potentially you would have to do that. Or unless they're using the bathroom. So great question. But so it came down to two people, JD and this Norma and JD. And Norma had been listening to these tapes, cassette tapes, the entire contest. So on
like Zig Ziglar or something.
I don't know.
You can do it, but if you believe, you will achieve. I'll see you on the mountaintop.
So kind of a little bit of that, maybe because Norma was very, very religious. And so she said, my entire church is praying for me. And then they interviewed one of the members from the church. She goes, oh yeah, we got 200 people at the church praying for her to win this truck. And during the whole thing, she's like singing hymns and like has headphones on, not talking to anybody. And it came down to Norma and JD at the end. And Norma went kind of cuckoo and started like dancing into it. And she just like took her hand off and like started walking. And JD ended up winning. And it was insane. 78 hours.
I would have thought it'd be longer.
Well,
now I'm thinking about this because, like, as you're describing this to me, my chest is getting a little tight. Like, oh man, how long could I last? The sleep deprived,
right?
Probably, right? Because they can't.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. Maybe not. 72 hours is a long time with no sleep.
I looked up the longest time someone's gone without sleep, and it was like over 100 hours. And they basically started hallucinating. It was like a Stanford study. They started hallucinating, like started having really major problems. The Guinness Book of World Records actually stopped in their contest.
They don't want to do it
because it's detrimental to your health. It's like, very detrimental to your health.
They just don't want to encourage that kind of behavior.
Correct. And so 78 hours, which is insane because people were standing for most of the time. They would get 5 to 10 minute breaks. But the reason why Benny had to bow out is because he said his foot went numb.
Weak, dude.
Weak. Yeah, he reigning champ can't take it. But it was just insane.
He didn't have enough. He didn't have enough buy-in because he'd already won. What do you need? 2 trucks?
But that's the thing. He almost didn't. Like, he literally, it was insane to me. And to your point, moving on to Mr. Beast, I was like, oh my God, because I remember him doing this type of stuff. But the really cool thing about this, it really made me think of Mark Pincus and his new book. I can't remember, I'm blanking on his new book, but he just wrote a new book called Life in Play or something like that. He was the founder of Zynga and one of the founders of Farmville.
Life at the Speed of Play.
Life at the Speed of Play. And his whole thing is proven, better, new. You take something that's already proven, hands on a Hardbody, you make it better, Mr. Beast, bringing in a bunch of different stuff, and then you make it new. So to your point, that popped into my head too. I was like, Mr. Beast is doing this, but he took something that was just hands on a Hardbody, just keep your hand on the thing. And it was just something they did in Texas and just cranked it up to 1,000.
Oh yeah. Those things are crazy, man. All of his, like, he had like what is it called? What's that TV show that made it big on Netflix? It was like the
Beast Games?
Not Beast Games. No, I'm talking about like the inspiration for it. It's like a Korean game show. It's like dramatized.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Not Ninja Warrior.
No. It's a drama. It's a dramatization. So it's like a fake. It's like a Hunger Games kind of vibe where they bring these people in and only one person can win and they kill off everyone else.
Yeah.
People who watch the show are like, it's this.
You idiots. Well, so while you're looking that up, it just reminded me. So I was like, oh my gosh, like Quentin Tarantino said this was the best documentary ever. And then I'm really curious if Mr. Beast watched Hands on a Hardbody before he did this. And the reason why I asked that is because if you go back in time and look at his old contest the first contest I think he did, I looked it up. He drew a circle in like his backyard.
Yeah.
And he put 4 quadrants and put 4 of his friends in there and said, hey, the last one to stay in this circle wins, or their quadrant wins. And that was the first one he ever did. And then they just kept escalating. The next thing he did was he took 4 of his friends and he put their hands all on a Lamborghini and said, okay.
That video.
And this was the first time I was seeing this stuff. And I was like, okay, he's just escalating. And every time, I guarantee you, he's learning something new and he's asking those people like, hey, what was hard about it? What do we need to change? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Because here's what's funny. Mr. Beast was the one actually filming all this. He was with a camcorder and he would go up to them and interview and then give them the thing and they would interview. And so what's interesting to me is like, I really want to know if he watched Hands on a Hardbody and started doing this, because then he started doing crazy contests. And the Lamborghini one, if you watch that one, it has like 200 million views. He is literally giving away thousands of dollars during the contest to people and giving away other cars, giving away crazy stuff. Like, so he took something that was proven, made it better, and just keeps making it better and better. Anyways, that's what I found super fascinating going down this rabbit hole. I was like,
that's right.
So cool. Anyways, your thoughts?
Yeah, no. So one, I looked it up. It's Squid Game.
Yep.
So anyways, just for people, I know what that is.
Really?
I haven't watched much of it. And 2, I think Mr. Beast does a great job of like surprise and delight, which is like you show up for the hands on a Lamborghini and then it's all of a sudden, and then now I'm going to reveal, and then you also get this. And it's kind of like this upping the stakes within the video. So the viewers are getting to live this live. It's like reality TV show, kind of like to the max, where like it's manufactured drama, but it's real. I think, it's kind of interesting how he started off with just his friends. And that was like his original business crew for the longest time. It was like just his friends. And for a while that continued. I think his crew now, or the people that he has working in Beast Industries and all that stuff is other people, but like he was just paying his friends and having them participate, and he's wild. He's a wild case study in terms of like pure obsession on something, or like on a model, the YouTube model, as well as like, I don't know, just entertainment in general. And
to your point, the obsession piece, right? Like I was just listening to David Senra, and he's like, the main thing that super successful founders do is they focus or they obsess over something, right? Yep. And Mr. Beast is the epitome of that for YouTube. And I was like, trying to bring that back to fly bodies. I was like, dude, you need to just continue to refine your challenges and your clubs and all those things, and just like make it the coolest thing ever when somebody participates in a challenge or something like that. So I was like, because when I think about it, I'm just like, oh, we could keep doing the same thing, or like, it's just a challenge. Like, what more can you do? And it's like, no, you can do crazy things. Like, I'm like, it made me really open my mind.
That obsession, or the kind of the focus and the iteration reminds me a lot of Banana Ball. The Savannah Bananas. And the guy's name, Jesse Cole.
Yep.
So all of his interviews, his one lens is fan service.
Mm-hmm.
Is this good for the fans? And they have a crazy model where it's kind of like SNL in a way, where each week they're like coming up with these new ways to do something that's never been done before. It's kind of like the way that they frame it. And so they're doing crazy stuff all the time. And now they're selling out NFL stadiums.
It's wild.
To play Banana Ball. They have a league.
It's on TV. I saw it on TV. I saw it on like ESPN TV yesterday or the day before.
That's right. So they have a great product in person. I, sad to say, have not been in person yet.
Me neither.
But like every decision that he makes, like it's so clear-eyed because it's got one lens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, is this good for the fans? If not, don't do it. If it's good for the fans, we're going to do it.
And I'm interested, so on that note, I am interested, like this is a little pushback on like, he wants to make it like a real league where it's like a competition. I look at it as almost like no offense to, but like a circus, like a show, like you're saying, like SNL. But
they're playing real ball.
They are.
No, they're not like the Harlem Globetrotters. Like they're playing real banana ball, which is a variation of baseball. So I think there's a lot of doubters on whether or not it will scale into a league because you have like the tailgaters and the firefighters and have this banana ball league. It seems to be doing fine right now. I don't know if people are saying this is not going to replace the MLB. I don't think it should.
No,
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either.
There is something that he's doing that I don't know. It's certain things like game design, right? So like,
for sure,
when there's like a blowout in a game, things about like the way that the banana ball rules are written is that you win an inning and you get a point, kind of like boxing or something, right? You win the round, and then when you get to the final inning, every run counts for a point. So it's kind of like you're really only ever you're gonna be close. Like you're never out of it until the very end. As an example of something that was like, oh, that's like a way that you can keep people invested all the time, and it's also time limited to 2 hours, so everyone knows this is just the way that it's going to be. So you get like a lot of the best of all worlds with that. And I think the obsession piece and his lens, it reminded me of this clip I saw of Chris Williamson and Alex Hormozi talking about Kobe. Kobe's one lens was, does this make me a better basketball player? And he's like, if it doesn't make me a better basketball player, I'm not going to do it. And that focus allows a lot of energy to be directed in one direction. You and I were talking before this in the pre-brief about learning languages. I took a lot of different languages in high school and studied a different one in college. And you were like, if you had just stuck with one, you would be fluent by now. I'm like, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I just love exploring around. The cost of switching, what did Hormozi say? It's like the cost of switching up your wants, results in a lot of lost effort and energy. But I also personally don't believe that everything in life needs to be maximized.
And so
whatever maximization is, it's not like, oh, I need to be the best at this thing. It's like, okay, I enjoy the act of learning the new language. That's different than mastering a language or whatever. And that's not my excuse for why I have learned and forgotten more language than you even know.
So you went some different threads there. And the one that I wanted to touch on before we move on was so you said like the banana ball has structured their game in a way that is very exciting and keeps people like on the edge of their seat and keeps the game very competitive too, instead of like a 25 run blowout or something like that. And I loved that take because Rory Sutherland was just on MFM, and he was saying that startups and small businesses have the capability to try different things, to be very adaptive to what the fans want, whereas the MLB made like a huge change by putting like a shot clock on the pitcher.
The pitching clock.
That was like a huge change to the game, right? Because they wanted to speed up the game. And it's interesting because banana ball has all of these different little things to keep people more invested, to keep the time at 2, like saying, hey, it's only going to be 2 hours. At 2 hours, we're cutting it. Like, so I think that's so interesting because, Jesse has tried to construct a way for people to be entertained, but also to compete. And it's so simple, but like the MLB, it was probably enormously hard for them to make that one little change where banana ball seems like starkly different.
Get all the owners together, talk about it, talk with the MLB Players Association, and then baseball has not just the organizational inertia, but it has the cultural inertia of being America's pastime and this sport that's been around for over 100 years. And so if you're going to change this sport, you're going to ruin baseball. And I understand. I'm not saying that the MLB should try to be like the Savannah Bananas or Banana Ball at all. I don't think that they should try to do that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they shouldn't try, and it's in part because, it's a media. All these things are like media plays at the end of the day, and the brand. Yeah, it's just like kind of like don't break what's.
I think it goes back to
not broken.
It goes back to your first thing you talked about. MLB is player focused. The banana ball is fan
fan
focused. Like it's all about the players in MLB. Like you want good, like you're going to see good players. Like, and I could be wrong, but like in my mind, I'm like,
you're 100% right. I went and watched
totally different things.
I watched the Dodgers came to Fenway and I watched Shohei play, and it's like
you're there for him.
You're there for him.
Exactly. And so it's totally different two mindsets. And to your point, maybe they're thinking, how can we focus on making the players the best they can be so we can provide that best product, as opposed to Banana Ball where it's like, hey, we want the fans to have an unbelievable time. Both can create very good products.
I don't even know if that's MLB's lens. It's not players. It's more like enterprise value. I think their lens, whether it's stated or not, is enterprise value. They're trying to raise the value of these organizations because any one owner wants the value of their franchise to rise, so that, you know, if they exit at some point or like it's cash flowing, and they want it to be as valuable as possible. So you can get there a lot of different ways,
for sure.
But yeah, I think that's kind of their lens right now.
Agreed. And I think both of it's just a different way to attack it. I think the MLB says, hey, we want the best players in the world to play in our league, and that's going to drive our value higher. Whereas Jesse's like, hey, I want to provide the coolest experience for the fans because that's also going to drive our value super high. And I think both can be in the same, you know, bucket of playing a sport. Anyways, I thought that was really cool. Obviously, we went from Hands on a Hardbody.
I'm gonna go check out that documentary. I love documentaries.
It was. I do too. And you can check out the 33-minute version on YouTube where this guy kind of talks about. Anyways, Nah, dude. I think that if you cut it down, so this is my take as you were describing it. Okay.
You get the points in time.
Mm-hmm.
I think when a documentary is done well, or when anything is done well in that format, it's when the story is told well, and that includes character development, right? So not just the highlights, but even the space in between, you know, kind of like the pacing of the entire story. And I want to talk about Project Hail Mary because announcement, update, I actually watched it.
Dude, one of the best movies, top 5 movie for me anyway.
I thought that could have been like a bit for a year maybe. You just keep telling me to see it and I'll say, yeah, I'll see it.
Were you not, is it not one of the best decisions you've made in a while to watch that movie?
I started it too late at night and I was like, you know, maybe I'll cut it off if it's going too long. And it was like 10 p.m. and I was out at 10 p.m. and I was at the point. It's a long movie. It's long. It's like 2 hours plus.
Yeah, it's like 2.5.
I was watching it and I was maybe an hour and a half in and I was like, oh, this is good. I had this conscious moment where I was like, I could cut this off right now and go and watch the rest later. I feel like it's a nice beat in the story. I think it was right after they discovered how to use the astrophage, little particles for energy.
Spoiler alert.
This whole thing is spoilers. You spoiled Hands on a Hardbody for me, so
I didn't spoil everything. Well, I guess kind of a little bit, but you'll still enjoy it.
No, so you didn't spoil everything because you actually don't know everything because you didn't watch the full version.
I didn't. Which I kind of sped through things because I was like, I got to get ready for this podcast. Anyway, astrophage. Okay,
so that point in the story, I could stop it. Watching a movie late at night is kind of like eating potato chips. It's like this, it was really good, and then I was like, I could stop, and I was like, no, I'll keep watching it. And then I finished the movie, and I was like zonked, tired.
Were you with Molly, or was it by yourself?
I was by myself. I started watching. She's like, oh, cool. She was in a different room. I think she was watching the Red Sox.
Okay.
So the thing that I'll say about Project Hail Mary is it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that it's based on an Andy Weir book. Right, so Andy Weir was the author of, The Martian.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great book. Great movie. I
yep.
Maybe listened to the book.
Yeah. So I think the origin story of this is Andy Weir was writing online blog posts, kind of like how like Isaac Asimov wrote the Foundation series, kind of like writing it in little chunks, and then eventually people were like, this is so engaging, we want to know more about this story, and then he like turns it into a full book. That's actually a really great way to like get that live feedback from the audience. I think a lot of people do that in the knowledge worker space. They have a blog, they become, kind of an expert on this thing. I think James Clear also did that. He's writing a bunch of articles, and then eventually he just said, let's make a book. And oh, wow, Atomic Habits, super successful.
25
Not
million
guaranteed
copies.
to be, but The Martian was written that way. I think Project Hail Mary was more of like a traditional book deal. They, in the movie version, sped through the character development in the first half. Because I know that there's more pieces, because there's Dr. Grace, who's played by
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, and his handler Carl, who's from the government entity that's running this project.
Yeah.
And him and Carl have this cool, funny dynamic, but you never really see like how it builds up into that dynamic, because Carl is like probably ex-CIA, ex-military, something or other, and kind of a straight-laced guy. And then by the point where they start to become buddies, then they have this fun back and forth dynamic. But there's a lot that they skip over, and I think it's probably good for the movie version to not have all of that in there. But it's like, okay, it feels like we're just supposed to accept that these things just kind of happened in sequence. There's not like a lot of that development. So that part is fine. Then from the point that I'm talking about through the end of the movie, I found myself having to continuously hit the I believe button, or willful suspension of disbelief. My oldest sister, who loves movies as much as I do, I would always be like, this is impossible. This would never happen. And she's like, yeah, but it's a movie, so you should just like suspend disbelief and then just like enjoy it. So I like found myself being like, okay, like I'm just going to enjoy this. This is fun. Yeah. And it just got more and more crazy about the things that were happening, that I was like, that's not really how that works from an astrophysics perspective, or like, how, I'm studying orbital mechanics over again right now. And it's like, that's not how that would work at all. And that's fine. Don't worry. So it's like, okay, this is all science fiction. The thing that bothered me the most was Dr. Grace's character.
Okay.
The way that they tell the story is they show him in the current point in the story, in which he's on a spacecraft close to Tau Ceti, which is a star very far away from Earth. Mm-hmm. And then they keep doing flashbacks about how he got there, because he has like memory loss. And so I think the kind of the plot device in the book is that you're learning about where he's at now, and then you get some additional context that adds color to it. And it's kind of a nice little back and forth. Mm-hmm. It's fun. But like Dr. Grace's character near the end of it, as they're starting to reveal how he got put on the spacecraft, not by choice.
Spoiler.
What do you want me to do? I haven't spoiled it all.
Just spoil the whole movie. You're good. No.
It made him go from, I think I liked him a lot less.
What?
He ends up choosing a brave, I'm going to go support somebody, but for selfish reasons, because he doesn't fit in, so he decides not to go back to Earth.
But but that's the thing, is like, I think it's just so, like, it's such a human, like, moral dilemma, right? Like I found that to be so, like, almost real. Like, it's like, dude, like, in that moment, I would say a lot of people would make that same decision. A lot of people aren't like the superhero. Yeah, I'll go die for my country, or I'll go die for my planet. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that is something that you kind of like. It's like there is part of you that probably doesn't want to do it, and is okay with saying like, I don't want to go do this because I don't want to die.
That's fine. I'm not saying like, oh, you should be a hero, but that's like the typical trope. And so I think kind of like, playing counter to that is like, no, I don't want to do it. So he gets forcibly put on the spacecraft, and then he ends up being, brave and saves the day anyways.
Right.
But it's kind of like he's the reluctant hero that kind of nothing really goes wrong for him. Mm-hmm.
I thought, but a bunch of stuff kind of goes wrong though during the movie.
Sure, he loses. But like a bunch of stuff goes wrong. But
why are you hating on Ryan Gosling right now? Why are you hating on this movie?
I'm telling you what I think. Okay, you stop getting defensive. You told me to watch this, and I'm telling you what I think about it.
This is a 12 out of 10 movie, and you are ruining it.
I had fun. I also think that the way that the movie, I want to read the book now, because I think the movie adaptation kind of undersold the character development, which I think is ultimately the most satisfying part. Is where was Dr. Grace at the beginning of the movie? Mm-hmm. He's an outcast, he's disgraced, and then he should be put back into a position like he gets the opposite, kind of like where you start to where you end is the opposite. That's like the typical story arc.
Mm-hmm.
So he does get the credit for like, yeah, I saved the day. But I thought, okay, there's like a massive plot hole that I was like, this is the opportunity for Dr. Grace to become like vindicated. Is his whole research, the reason why he got excommunicated from the scientific community is he's like, you don't need water. You don't need carbon-based life forms. You don't need water. They study the astrophages and, it's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. He's like, it's water-based life form. I'm an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a loser. Mm-hmm. Then he meets Rocky.
A rock
spider.
Which was awesome.
Who lives in an argon... No.
Environment.
Not argon, sorry, different. He's made of xenon, or he makes the rock out of xenon, and he lives in like a... it's a different gas, starts with an A. I can't think of it right now. He lives in that environment, and I'm like, maybe this would be the perfect opportunity. This is maybe a shot at Andy Weir, is like, he is a molecular biologist. Why could he not be like, Rocky dies trying to save him, and then he uses his knowledge to be like, wait a second, I can use my knowledge of his new biology that's not water based to be able to like save him and bring him back to life. But what ends up happening is Rocky just comes back. Rocky's just dead, and then Ryan's sitting there like, oh, I guess you're dead. And then all of a sudden Rocky just comes back. And I'm like, dude, what?
Movie, Garrett.
He just comes back?
I have to watch it again. I have to watch it again because okay, all that set aside, it is impressive. I from a movie lover experience, I get it. You're in the weeds, and I get that.
That's how I enjoy movies, okay?
From the movie lover,
and that's not in the weeds to talk about character development. That was his point in the movie to be vindicated, I think.
You're talking about Argon. I'm talking about Ryan Gosling put that movie on his back and freaking took that thing to the end zone. That's what I was like, I was like so impressed that one guy talking to a rock that's not even human can build this movie up and just have so many emotions and like save the world and all these other things. Like I think that's what I was most impressed with. Don't get me wrong. Like the story's really cool and all that stuff, but I was like, dude, it was just Ryan Gosling almost the entire movie. I would say 90% of the movie was just him talking to this fictional character and being funny and emotional and just thinking through everything. And that's where I was so in love with the movie, because I was like, dude, that takes talent. Because I think there's been times where I think there's been other times where other people have tried to be the sole person of the movie and it just wasn't as good. I just found it to be just very entertaining.
It was enjoyable. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I just think that like there's a couple of things where I was like,
You're saying you didn't like it. If you didn't say it's 12 out of 10, you said you didn't love it. Anyways.
Man, all right. Never recommend a movie to me ever again, because I might think differently about it.
I know. That's I'm writing that down in my diary. Anyways,
Garrett
I'm
did
glad
like
you
my
watched
favorite movie today.
It's true. This is July 30th. Never forget.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I'm just telling you that I think that it's important. Character development's important, and I think that
just the story is not as good. You would appreciate it if it was more.
He did carry it on his back, because
believable.
I think that I wonder what the book version of Dr. Grace, like the
We'll
full
come
development
back to
is.
it. We'll readdress.
I gotta go read the book.
Read the book, and then we'll come back and be like, dude, the book's way. You're one of those guys. The book is way better.
I'm not saying that the book is always way better. I'm just saying, like Harry Potter is an example of I think that the books and the movies are differently good.
Yeah, for sure. Which, by the way, Jordan, my younger brother, is like the new show I think comes out on Christmas Day. And he's like, I'm going to lock myself in a room. Don't talk to me for like 3 days, because I'm going to watch those over and over and over again. He's a Harry Potter psychopath. He's watched those movies probably 50 to 100 times each one of them. Multiple. Yeah, he's on a different level. Anyways, but yeah, dude, I'm glad you watched it. And I appreciate the take, right? Like it was definitely one of those things where I knew not everybody's going to love it as much, because even my younger brother and my wife didn't love it as much as I did. But I was just like, I was on the more realm of like, would I be brave enough to take on that mission? And it made me think of you, because I think that's what you're new endeavors trying to do, right? Like you're trying to figure out how we can go to a different galaxy.
More to come.
Okay. That's why I recommended it to you in the first place. I was
Yeah.
like, and so,
Yeah.
anyways.
No, I definitely think there's a great part in the movie. Here's what I'll commend it for. There's a great part of the movie in which there's lots of great parts of the movie. You didn't listen to what I said. You just heard it wasn't a 12 out of 10.
Yep, that's what I heard. I blocked out everything else.
Is Ryan Gosling's character, Dr. Grace, is talking to Rocky, and he's like, yeah, we're going to go get this like particle that's going to be able to eat the astrophage, and it's going to restore balance, and we're going to save our stars. And then he says, yeah, I don't have enough fuel to get back to Earth, so just kind of like, we're going to do this, and like you, Rocky, can go back to your planet. And then Rocky's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I'm at peace with it. It's fine. And he's like, Rocky's like, let me calculate. Oh, I'll just give you the fuel and I'll get back home 6 years slower. And then Ryan Gosling's like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, and he's like crying. He's like, well, I thought you said you were okay. He's like, that's just something you say. You just say you're at peace with it. I was not actually at peace with it. And I'm like, that's probably true, is that most anyone who's doing a heroic sacrifice is either it's too quick in the moment for them to actually like internalize it, not minimizing anyone's courage or bravery, but you're actually just overcoming the fear in that moment. And so then he had the release of, okay, you actually don't have to overcome that. And it's like all the fear flooded in, like, whoa, oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost just like died in space.
So I love, that is a great take. And I love like bringing that back because it makes me think, okay, yeah, like that, saving that. But then I am on your side. I'm bringing it back. Now I am on your side about believability when I'm thinking about
I don't care about the science fiction.
How he intercepts Rocky in a galaxy. I'm like, what are we doing?
Oh yeah. It got more and more and more unbelievable. That's fine. I think the science fiction aspect. I actually think that like you could just wave away all the science fiction stuff, and then just say, are these good character development? And the relationship between Rocky and Dr. Grace is really good. There's just parts of Dr. Grace's character that I'm like,
gotcha.
It's just like there's discontinuities of like of his hero's journey, and that's what bothers me the most. Not about all the believability stuff.
That's fair.
And let's put
that in the back of my brain for next time.
Let's just end it on the fact that like Soul, our son, was eaten. They show Earth and it's cold, and they're on like an aircraft carrier like breaking ice, and it's like, okay, great, you stop the astrophage. The sun is still diminished. So how are you going to deal with kind of like this like eternal winter on Earth? I don't know. I was like, yeah, it's not like the sun's not being restored.
But you didn't care about that. But you don't care about that.
But I don't care about that.
But you don't care about that. No.
Let's talk about a different project.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about not Project Hail Mary. Have you heard of Project Panama?
I have not. What is Project Panama?
This is kind of old news, but it resurfaced recently on X, and this is how I found out about it this past week. Project Panama is a internal project by Anthropic, public benefit corporation, to buy up a bunch of books and destructively scan them. So Anthropic and other companies, they went online and they were like, just scrape the whole internet and all these things, and they got in trouble legally because it's like, hey, like that's not fair use, and there's a bunch of court battles. I'm not a lawyer. Don't ask me whether or not that's legal or not. Then they had to move on. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to go license these books. So they're contacting publishers, hey, can we license your library, and then we can use that information? And then they were like, no, or too expensive. And so what they did was they just started buying books and putting them in a hydraulic press that slices off the spine, and then they zip all the pages through a scanner and destroys the book.
We're burning and destroying books now.
And they're doing it with books that are like rare.
Whoa.
One of one kind of prints, and they're buying them in bulk. The judge who ruled on this was that there's a couple things. Like, if you own a thing, you can destroy it. And by scanning it and not keeping the original, they're not replicating it, they're like ingesting it. So it's like legally they end up being justified or required to destroy the books in order to do this. And I was just like mind blown. One, this is happening. It's like the natural consequence of, hey, you just need to ingest more and more and more information.
Yeah.
But just like crazy that these companies are doing this, and it just feels incredibly irresponsible.
Yeah, that's wild. That is crazy. What are they doing with the extra? What are they doing with the leftovers? I'm curious.
The book is like, I mean, what do you mean? You just have like a pile of pages?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what are they doing with the leftovers? Maybe they're making like chairs or something out of it. But yes.
Oh, are you talking about sustainability? I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the lost knowledge, like the cultural artifacts, rare books that are like, hey,
that's wild.
There's 10 books in existence. We're going to buy them all. We're going to destructively scan them. And now we, private company, own this knowledge forever. Nobody else has access to this knowledge.
And that makes you upset. That's fair. I mean, I just don't, it's not, so for me, I'm like, they bought it, so it's like they can do whatever they want with it.
I don't disagree with their property rights, the ability to do with it what they will. I think that it's an ethical problem for us as a society to say, you can take knowledge, like cultural artifacts, I'd say like these like rare books, or just like knowledge in general, because it's like only exists in one location, and ingest it, and then the private organizations get to keep that.
Well, so on top of that, like Dave Rubenstein bought the Constitution, or one of the Constitution. What did he do? He went in and on. I'm making that up.
It's like a very Nick Cage kind of move.
Yeah, from National Treasure. Ooh, good job. So destroying it is that's where I think destroying it is where I kind of have beef. Where I'm just like, you don't have to destroy it. Like just
the pace at which they need to ingest this material, there are non-destructive methods.
Yeah.
Well, there's two things. One is pace. So destructively doing it allows you to like zip, zip. Whereas like there's like these things where it's like a vacuum reader, where it's like put the book here, it takes a page and it vacuum scans it, and then the next page vacuum scans it. That takes a long time. So at scale, the destructive thing works way faster. So they have to do it fast to kind of justify and their structure and grow the model training set. And then two, the court ruling that said, hey, because you are transferring, you're not like keeping, you're not like, there's a specific word that I'm losing right now. It's basically like, because you have taken the knowledge and gotten rid of the original and then transferred it, like you haven't
destroyed it.
You haven't stolen the knowledge, but it's like, versus just scanning it and keeping the original, it's like now you're using this knowledge in a non-fair use context or something. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but at least the court ruling kind of like incentivized or said that that's the way that you need to do it legally.
Wow. Okay. So the court ruling is basically saying, hey, the court ruling was saying you have to destroy it, because if you're copying it and if you don't destroy it, that means you have basically two copies essentially, right?
Yeah, like copyright infringement kind of thing.
Copyright infringement. Got it. Interesting. And that's just like, I don't know, like obviously like the whole destroying of it is just kind of like, it's weird. It's also, I try not to, I don't get too bent out of shape about it, but I just think about like, like if they weren't destroying it, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But also, anyways, I don't.
And by
where does this for you, like, what is scary about this for you long term? I guess what is the most scary?
I think it's an ethical problem because it's counter to access to information for all. If private corporations are able to use resources to sequester information and then keep it, now that you have to pay for access to this information, that's where it's like, okay, now previously, if I wanted access to that information, I'd have to go buy the book myself.
Right, exactly.
These rare books I wouldn't have access to. I'm not going and reading all these really rare books. It's the principle of the matter. Now, some of these books could have existed in libraries or in other collections and things like that. So I think that I'm not saying literally I need to have access to any book on the planet. It's that the idea that for humanity's sake, that we're incentivizing allowing companies to do this because by destroying the original, you're not adding a new copy. So that it's like this kind of weird workaround logic, and I think it's bad for us in the long term.
Okay.
That short-sighted to say we're going to ingest all of these books and then hide them behind a paywall so that we are the ones that have access to this knowledge, all in the like pursuit of a slightly better model.
The only reason I have a problem with this is if they had like the secrets to the universe or something like that. So like that's the only reason. Like it doesn't. And if they did, so that's the like if they back to Project Hail Mary. If they basically if they figured out how to save the planet and they were keeping it away, like that's the only thing that I can think of. I'm just like,
yeah, I don't. The thing is, it's different than like private innovation in that like pharma companies. I think pharma gets a bad rap all the time because it's like, oh, this drug that you release is too expensive. The price that they show, especially in a U.S. market, is like this benchmark. People generally don't pay that. Insurance, pays less than that. It's like negotiated. The amount of money that is put into any one drug, it's kind of like a portfolio, like a VC portfolio. You have to make back the portfolio.
All the money you put into it, yeah.
And you have a limited lifespan. That's where like copyright, basically like patents, comes into play, where you basically patent the drug for a certain life cycle, and then at some point in time in the future, generics can come on, and then it's going to eat into your profit. It becomes commoditized. So these companies that have put in millions and billions of dollars to develop drugs need a way to make back that money and then fund future development. So I think that like temporary protections for companies on intellectual property to be able to kind of like make a profit on it, I think is fine. My take on this is the innovation that they're doing is on spicy math and computer science, but it necessitates that they steal. They bought the physical product, but then they're keeping the information that they didn't create or innovate. So why did they get to keep the thing that they didn't create? If that makes sense. But
they bought it, right? So like I guess that's where I think is like, hey, if
you're saying that like that property rights is the only thing that matters.
Not the only thing, but in priority.
I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. I'm saying that it does matter, and
there should be a limited time frame where they have that
limited time frame. But
that's
the thing
what I'm saying. Like you want the and piece. You want right. Hey, this is your property for 20 years. After 20 years,
yeah, it's like Creative Commons, right? So certain books and stuff like that like have existed for a certain amount of time, and then like after a certain amount of time, like I could just take a copy of, I don't know, Dante's Inferno, and I could just like publish a new version of it, kind of thing. I think that there isn't a structure in place for that to occur, and the companies themselves have no incentive to want to give up this information because collecting unique, high quality data is what's going to make their model better, more capable, and so it's like an arms race, and that's where I think the push towards more recently, a lot of companies, Jensen and Zuck have been talking about open weight models, and kind of how that is actually the way forward, is these open source open weight models versus the companies like I talked about, the true winners in this. It's not about whose model is going to be best. It's like who's going to survive basically to be able to operate with this environment. And Dario and Sam, of Anthropic and OpenAI respectively, are like, hey, open weight models are dangerous. Or, we got to put some brakes on this thing. It's like, well, you have some incentives to kind of control how these things are developing, and you have an incentive to keep your business model working into the future. So that's probably why you're saying that. And if somebody's able to replicate the performance of your model and just send out the weights to everyone so you can like download on your computer and just like run like probably not a locally hosted, but like a hosted version of this model, then they're like, oh, wait, we don't like that. Duh.
The incentive, like you said, like there are always like some incentives on the back end. I would like when you're just talking about the like Dario and Sam, it made me think of like Elon Musk was doing an interview on The Economist like this week.
Yep, I watched that one.
And the lady basically said like, hey, you said that AI was potentially going to destroy the world. Now you're trying to create AI. Like, WTF? Like, why did you start going down that path? And it's a good question, because then she also asked, well, so if we're, if I'll answer that question first, but or in a second, but if we're not going to have to worry about money, why are you so worried about creating robots to make money? It was just really good questions. She was very aggressive with her questions and got heated. And I was like, you don't have to be heated. You just want to get to the bottom of what he's doing.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'll say is it was interesting because, to your point, there is an incentive. Most of those people want to keep their power, and the power is their model, right? And if they think they can build the best model, then they have a lot of power. They have a lot of sway. They can, change governments and do all these other things. And so at the end of the day, Elon Musk will, and that was funny to me, is when Elon goes, yeah, AI is going to kill the world, but wait a second. No. You should let me build the AI. That's where I go.
Yeah, I think it comes down to it. I think a lot of people, especially with Elon, I'm typically an Elon stan. I would agree in general with his take on kind of the ethics or the moral character of whomever's developing these things is going to drive the direction that they go in. And he is the hero in his own story, like everyone is, but especially for someone like Elon, he views it as a human-centric way forward. He formed OpenAI originally because he was talking to some other people within the industry, and they were all, in his take, is they're all transhumanist, meaning eventually AI will take over and humans kind of will go wherever. And Elon's like, no, I want human, life forms to continue to exist, human intelligence to continue to exist. And so his point is, just because something's dangerous doesn't mean you don't attempt it. And just because, hey, it's likely that this could develop in this path where it's the most dangerous scenario. There's a article written in AI 2040, and there's option A, option B, option C, option D. And it's talking about the ways that kind of the power dynamics between the US and China specifically could develop these models. Human nature is lending itself towards power consolidation and accumulation and selfishness and greed and all these things weaponized at the speed of modern compute is pretty scary. Elon touched on this as well with Mars, is that people are like, well, if you go to Mars, then you could potentially bring the bad stuff from Earth to Mars. And he's like, I guess that's just saying, hey, this is fraught with risk and things can go wrong, so we shouldn't attempt it at all. And I think Elon just rejects that across the board, to say he does have hubris to say I should be the one to develop it.
Correct. That's where I land. Is
sure,
he will say it's bad unless he's doing it. Now, I'm not saying that's bad or good, but like you said, everyone is the hero in their own story. That's where I'm just kind of
gotcha.
He is stuck on. I don't necessarily trust Sam and Dario to make the best AI.
In part because of what is their business model, what is their incentive structure.
Correct. Right.
All the things. And then also that's part of the beef of OpenAI was formed to develop these models in the open and kind of for the benefit of humanity. And it was hey, let's just take this thing private. Yeah. And so ignoring kind of the personality dynamics and Elon as a person, I think Elon is right that yes, he and others who have a view for that's what's best for humanity in terms of developing these models. And that's one of the reasons why I have a problem with what Anthropic is doing with the destructive scanning of these books, because it's okay, that they're supposed to be, right, as a public benefit corporation, developing AI responsibly. So they're developing the technology responsibly, hopefully, maybe. And there's all these side effects. There's all these externalities to what they're doing that I think is not great overall for humanity. So I think we need more people in the game. We need more of a Linux moment for AI, where there's open source kind of models to help draw the, I didn't say power. This is not a really anti-capitalist thing. It's more the competitive dynamic, which is driving us towards these we are going to suck up all the data in the world, and that's how we're going to win, and we're going to keep it from you, and we're going to limit access to these things. And we saw this happen with Meta and Facebook, is decisions by people on what you can see and what you cannot see in your algorithm, and what things are right and what things are wrong. Elon is that is just not the way forward. Now, I'm not saying what Elon's view of what is right and what is wrong is correct, I think he is right in how dangerous it is to allow a concentrated few people kind of control the direction of this technology.
And let's one step back. These are incredibly difficult problems to solve / things that
we just solved them.
Exactly. But like, that's the, like a million things are going through my head when I think like, what's people's incentives? Like what capitalism, what's best for humanity? All these things are like rolled into one thing where it's like, no one really knows. But at the end of the day, it's like, for me anyway, I want somebody driving the ship that has humans' best interest in mind, right? But that's also a very, slippery slope, because some people say, hey, humans' best interest is this, humans' best interest is this. So like, at the end of the day, I think what I take from this is like, there are some things that you said that I like, oh, I don't agree with, but then also there's some things that you said that I totally agree with. And the reason why I'm talking about this in a sense is because I think when people listen to this, they'll some people hate Elon Musk, some people hate Sam Altman, some people hate Dario, some people probably hate us. but what I'm saying is, it's just like interesting, because I think some of your points are valid, and it's like, well, these people, I didn't know Anthropic was basically destroying books. And when you hear something like that, you're like, oh, maybe they're not as perfect as I thought they were, because then previously you go, oh, they didn't put forth a model because they didn't want it harming anybody. So you have these different things happening where you're just like, wow, like information is huge. And I don't think there's one perfect answer. And over time they play out. Anyways.
Yeah. And that's where like our differences in this argument now, and then the differences between the heads of these massive corporations and then like world leaders and all these things. I think there's a world in which we move towards like the cyberpunk technocratic world where it's a few massive corporations that run the world, government, and
Flybodies will be one of those. It's okay.
Right, we're in good hands. And I'm more of like a techno and human optimist to think that we are going to be able to overcome these challenges if we don't destroy ourselves first. And that's where things like arms control of like nuclear weapons and AI technology, and making sure that we're not, we're not literally just taking the great filter and then speeding the timeline up and just running right into the wall. If you're familiar with that concept with the great filter. I don't know if it's behind us. I don't know if it's ahead of us. I do think that we are in a crazy interesting point in time where it's like we're developing incredible technologies to go into space and potentially go populate our solar system, and to colonize other planets. And we have this technology that could potentially create a different form of intelligence. And we humans, the saying goes like this: it's like we are like Stone Age humans with industrial age institutions and godlike technology.
That is clippable. That's clippable, my friend. That is great. I love that.
It's not my saying, but
I don't care.
It's like
I love that.
Our physiology
for
is
sure
living less than 100 years. The incentives of like procreation and how our brains are wired. You can see how our limbic systems are getting hijacked by algorithms. That still exists, and it takes hundreds of thousands of years for that to evolve.
For sure.
We don't know how that's going to go. Our systems, governments, organizations, these things are not built well to handle the newest technologies.
Correct.
And then the technologies that we have are like crazy.
They're like wands. They're like magic wands that we have.
That's right.
In our
And
hands.
so my hope for our future is that we're going to be able to overcome this and not destroy ourselves. That is what I think is possible. And I hope that's what we're heading towards.
And now you understand why I wanted you to watch Project Hail Mary. Gosh, Garrett, it all comes back full circle here, because you're exactly right. We are on a mission, my friend, to not destroy ourselves and to save humanity every single day. I'm not trying to get too woo-woo, but it's true. And that's why, to be honest, I wanted to start this podcast with you, because I think those are good messages that people should hear. And so that's awesome. I'd love to end the podcast there if you're down. That was a great way to end it. Good stuff. Adios, amigos.